Let us take the second question. And again, this one is even more straightforward than the previous question. If you look at this, discuss the main contributions of the Gupta period and the Chola period to Indian heritage. What is heritage, by the way, first of all? Anything that comes from the past, particularly the cultural achievements, the positive aspects, you call it as a heritage. Now, at least for the previous question, you had to come out with a structure of your own. Yes or no? But here, the structure is not even necessary. Directly they are asking you, tell about contributions of Guptas, tell about contributions of Cholas. So you can start your answer introduction simply saying, writing one line about Gupta dynasty, one line about Chola dynasty. That Guptas ruled most of India during the ancient times, so and so years, particularly if you revise your classes. So roughly you can say from 300 to 550 AD. If you give the numbers, that will add some weight to your answer, that you are being more specific, because they are asking Gupta period, Chola period. When they use the word, can you mention the name or give the years? Very much, because you are making that word period more specific. And you will say the Cholas ruled the South India, particularly in the early medieval period, somewhere around, you can say, the 10th, 9th to 11th or 12th centuries, you can say that they were ruling in South India. Guptas in north, Cholas in south. That's a very, very small introduction you can go. And then your question is very, very straightforward, asking you about the contributions of these people to Indian heritage. First para you can dedicate for Guptas, first one or two paragraphs. And again, contributions are many. Here, heritage. So you can divide your answer into several aspects. A, numismatics, that is the coins aspect. I'll just give some points there. Right now I'll just list down the headings that we can discuss about. You can talk about their architecture, particularly temple architecture. You can talk about their scientific achievements, scientific and technological achievements. You can talk about the literature during this period, and you can talk about the metallurgical aspects, and lastly you can say about their paintings. Now, Gupta period, there was a question asked in the mains some time back. What is numismatics? We all know it is some scientific study of coins. And in the ancient periods, one of the most beautiful looking gold coins were issued by the Gupta dynasty. Okay, so you can say the gold coins that they issued were the dinaras, which were of multiple types, and they were so beautiful. Now, coins, generally it's a aspect of economy, but why am I writing in the aspect of culture? Because these coins themselves, they are so beautiful that they have become pieces of art in themselves. Okay, so that is the reason we are writing it here, and it was asked in the UPSC mains. That is why you are trying to mention it in the beginning itself, so that you tell the examiner that, sir, generally numismatics, I know it is economic aspect, but still I am writing in the cultural, because these coins were so beautiful that they became art pieces in themselves. Another important contribution by the Guptas was in the field of temple. Why? In fact, in Hinduism, it is believed that the first temples in Hinduism came during their period, and it sees the beginning of the Nagara architecture type of Hindu architecture. So they laid the foundations for Nagara architecture, and you can give one or two examples. Mainly the most famous example was the Diogad Vishnu temple in UP over there. That will be one beautiful example you can give for temple architecture. For scientific and technological achievements, again, you must definitely take the name of two important astronomers and mathematicians who lived in that time. Important astronomers and mathematicians. They will be Aryabhatta You can write one or two contributions of Aryabhatta, like he discovered the sine theta, and he gave the value of pi 22/7 correct to 4 decimal places, etc., or one or two points about Aryabhatta. And you can also write 2 points about another great mathematician and astronomer at that time, Varaha Mihira. He has written some beautiful books like Brihad Jataka, Brihad Samhita, and all these things. Can just mention, see, it's all about, I said, this is such a straightforward question. Here, more number of facts you dump and show more dimensions. That's it, okay? There is nothing conceptual or you need to create something new, no. Literature, this was a period, Sanskrit period, where Sanskrit literature was on a peak, because this Sanskrit was a court language, official language of the Guptas. They used to speak in the court, Sanskrit. And here, obviously, you'll have to mention the most important person over there, Kalidasa. And if you do remember, you can also say Chandragupta too maintained Navaratnas in his court. And that clearly shows that literature was also there on a very, very high level. In fact, if you want to write, space permits you, time permits you, you can go for that and say the religious epics, the two epics of Hinduism, the Ramayana and Mahabharata, had both been finalized during the Gupta period, and a lot of secular literature by Kalidasa, everything came up. In the case of metallurgy, again there's a wonder of the world, you can say. Why? In the time of Chandragupta too, it is believed that he built an iron pillar which is today located in the in Delhi, in that Qutub Minar complex, where this iron pillar even today stands there in all seasons since all these years, rust free. And that kind of technology again is not found in India again later. So that was definitely a great contribution of these people. And with respect to the painting aspect also, in Madhya Pradesh, there is an area, Bagh Caves in Madhya Pradesh. There you will find some beautiful paintings related to Buddhism. All these aspects you can write about the Guptas. And one concluding line you can write for the Guptas is, if you all remember, if you have studied in your ancient India, that yes, many people call Gupta as the golden age of ancient India. Although this may not be justified on all aspects, but definitely with respect to cultural and scientific aspects, you can say this title is justified. So all these things you can write under the Guptas. The next aspect of the question is asking you for the Cholas. Cholas also you will write something very, very similar with all these headings. Again, Cholas are actually known for many things. Their architecture, we'll write a few points. Their literature, again a few points. Third, you can say their sculpture, and you can go for a fourth contribution in the field of dance. That is something unique these people have given to the Indian architecture, Indian culture. Architecture, these people had taken the Dravidian style of temple architecture to a very, very mature form, because Dravidian architecture was not started by Cholas, remember that, it was started by the Pallavas. These people took it to a next level, whereas Guptas started the Nagara. These people did not start Dravidian, they took it to a matured form. And definitely when you write that, you should always give at least one example. And the most famous temple, Brihadishwara temple by Rajaraja Chola, must be mentioned at Tanjavur, at the Tanjavur. In literature, these people supported, apart from Sanskrit, these people, well, Pallavas gave more importance to Sanskrit, the Cholas gave greater importance to Tamil. And in Tamil literature at that time, you must write, it was not simply secular literature, it was mainly Bhakti literature. In fact, Bhakti movement starts from Tamil Nadu itself in the form of some two Bhakti saints. Generally they are called Alvars and Nayanars. Alvars were the Vishnu devotees, and they were the Shiva devotees. And all these people had written their own books. And if it's possible, I would definitely say that you will write one example of Alvar books and one example of Nayanar books. Some Nalayira Divya Prabandham will be one, and another one for Nayanar. You can choose one and write. Again, you can't write much, but definitely whenever you make a mention, try to give one example. That will be very good. And this you will find with respect to sculpture. We just now came across this, the bronze sculpture of the dancing Shiva. That was the Nataraja. In fact, the very exquisitely carved bronze sculptures. And here you can write the technique by which this was made. It was made by the lost wax technique. If you remember, you would have studied this in your Indus Valley civilization. The same technique was used, and they made very, very beautiful sculpture with bronze. And then you can also talk about dance. The classical dance that the Tamil Nadu has given to Indian tradition was, Cholas particularly, the Bharatanatyam, a very classical dance. Again, it is a contribution of Cholas. Okay. So you can say these points and leave this. Not necessary that you definitely need to write a conclusion, but if you wish, you can simply write that these were the great contributions, glorious contributions, use some high sounding words here and there, and you can end the answer. That is, without, just imagine, without all these things, India would not have been such a, if we call ourselves an ancient civilization, this is why we call ourselves an ancient civilization. You can simply say towards the end of the answer that not only Gupta and Chola, every dynasty has given their own contributions, not in one field, but they did not leave any field of art and culture without their contributions. Every field, dance, music, you take anything and you will find the contributions of our kings.